The RoPe program is a program to help students gain a strong foundation in mathematics so that they are able to cope with the subsequent learning of mathematics, whether in upper primary or in secondary school. Based on the research that we have done on RoPe, we are suggesting the following lesson format. Tutors in the RoPe program can divide a lesson into 3 parts. Do provide students with opportunities to learn, with opportunities to practice, and with some mentoring opportunities. What do we mean by each of those? During the time that you have with students every week, do provide some opportunities where you get them to learn skills or concepts that you know they are not very strong at. Other than learning opportunities, also provide some opportunities for them to practice. And in the RoPe program, practice worksheets are classified as worksheet for basic skills, worksheets for routine applications, and worksheet for challenging applications. For students in the U grade, do provide them with ample practice opportunities in doing basic skill worksheet. Once they have acquired mastery in basic skills, say for example, they frequently get about 80% of basic skill questions correct, do move on then to routine application worksheets. So the U graders should have ample opportunities to practice their basic skills. For students who are not in the U grade but are still failing the subject of mathematics, they should get some opportunities to practice routine application questions. What we should do is to provide them with some opportunities with the challenging application worksheet. So for every 2 routine application worksheet, do combine it with 1 challenging application worksheet. So in summary, students who are currently having a U grade should focus on practicing basic skills. For students who are still failing but not in the U grade, they should practice routine application and combine that with some basic skill questions. For students who are already passing, we should let them have some opportunities to practice challenging application questions, and we combine that with routine application questions. So that's our suggestion on how you run the practice segment of the lesson. Other than opportunities to learn skills and concepts that they are not very good at, as well as opportunities to practice, whether it's basic skill or routine application or challenging application, do leave some time every week for mentoring opportunities. So this is the time you spend knowing the students, counseling them, mentoring them, basically to give them the confidence that they are able to learn. Those are the 3 segments of a lesson in the RoPe program: opportunities to learn, opportunities to practice, and some mentoring opportunities. So that's how we suggest tutors run the RoPe program. Another important component of the RoPe program is close monitoring of students under our charge. For the 8 students or so that you have, you must know them well enough. You must know who among the 8 students are still struggling with basic skills, who amongst them are able to do routine application, and who are able to progress to challenging application. So that is an important component of the RoPe program, close monitoring. On a weekly basis, we encourage tutors to keep a record on the list of students who are in level 1, learning to do basic skills, those in level 2 already acquired sufficient basic skills and are learning to do routine application, and who amongst them are in level 3, those who are already quite proficient in basic skills and routine application and are now learning to handle challenging application. close monitoring and tracking is an important component of the RoPe program. In the learning segment, we recommend 3 standard strategies for the RoPe program. Of course, tutors may have other ideas how to provide learning opportunities, but these are 3 suggestions. The first strategy is to use concrete materials and diagrams. For example, students may struggle to find equivalent fraction, and teachers can use concrete materials like pieces of paper. Teachers may use concrete materials like pieces of paper to model the fraction, say 3/4. And if students need to figure out 3/4 is equal to 6 of something, 6 what? By using concrete material and a little bit of folding, students may soon realize that in order for the 3/4 to become 6 parts, the name of each of the parts is an eighth, because 8 small parts make 1. So by manipulating concrete materials, students can learn that 3/4 is equal to 6/8. That's the use of concrete materials. Using diagrams. Say a student need to figure out 7 times 4 and they forget what that is. We can help them figure this out using a diagram. For example, 5 times 4 can be seen as 5 rows of 4s. And they might know that 5 times 4, that's really 20. If I know 5 times 4 is 20, can I use a diagram to figure out what is 7 times 4? Using a diagram, the student can understand that 7 times 4 is really the sum of 5 times 4 as well as 2 times 4. So if they know that 5 times 4 is 20 and 2 times 4 is 8, using a diagram, they can really figure out that 7 times 4 is really the sum of 20 and 8. That is an example of using diagram to help students understand a concept or learn a skill. The second strategy. The second strategy is to help students learn a traditional algorithm in an alternate way. For example, some students may struggle with long division. Instead of making them try to figure this out using the standard algorithm, can we help them figure this out using a more literal strategy? For example, 51. If I want to divide this by 3, I can break this down as 30 and 21. And 30 when divided by 3 gives us 10. 21 when divided by 3 gives us 7. So the students can figure out that 51 divided by 3 is really 10 and 7 or 17. This is an example of the use of an alternate strategy instead of a standard algorithm. Another example. Some students struggle with things like 3/4 divided by 2 because they cannot understand why is it that all they have to do is to follow a procedure which is changing the divide into multiply and invert the second number. Some students do struggle with the procedure. So instead of the standard method, we can provide students with a method that makes more sense to them. For example, 3/4 divided by 3 is really easy. It's like 3 apples divided by 3. 3/4 divided by 3 is really just equal to 1/4. 3 divided by 3, 3 anything divided by 3 is one of the same thing. But 3/4 divided by 2 is not so convenient because 3 divided by 2, that's not so easy to see straight away. But 3/4 is really 6/8. 6/8 divided by 2, that's really straightforward. It's like 6 apples divided by 2. It's like 6 anything divided by 2. 6/8 divided by 2, that's 3/8. That's another example of using an alternate strategy instead of the standard procedure. That's the second strategy. Teaching students alternate strategies in place of standard methods. The third strategy. The third strategy is to teach students how to read word problems. For example, how do we model in class the reading of word problem? Let's take a look. Who is in the story? Susan. What's the story all about? Oh, it's about money. It's about crayons. It's about how much money did she have at first. Let me read the story one sentence at a time. Susan spent some of her money on a storybook. Let me stop reading and start to calculate if I can, or draw a diagram if I can. I don't think I can calculate, but I can draw a diagram. Susan spent 1/4 of her money. So if this is how much money Susan had at first, I can figure out that she spent 1/4 on a storybook. Oh, that's easy. So that's the first sentence. Susan spent 1/4 of her money on a storybook. I understand that. I have understood that. Let me continue. She spent half of the remaining. Oh, that's the remaining, right? So half of it, that's right, half of it will be this. She spent half of the remaining money on a box of crayons. Is that right? So this is a box of crayons, or rather how much money she spent on a box of crayon. Okay. The question is, what fraction of her money was left? So I need to know this. Can I tell what fraction of her money was left? But the parts are not equal. Maybe I should make the parts equal. Oh, so instead of 4 equal parts, now I have 8 equal parts. That's right. She spent 2/8 of her money on a storybook. She spent 3/8 of her money on crayons. And as a result, what fraction of her money was left? From here, I can see the answer to A is 3/8. So, do teach students how to read a word problem by modeling it. Do not read the question from the start till the end because that's too much information for the students. Teach them how to read a sentence, draw something, or calculate something before moving on to another sentence. Encourage them to calculate as they go along. Encourage them to draw diagrams as they go along. How about part B? The box of crayons cost $4.50. Oh, so these 3 units is equals to $4.50. If 3 units is $4.50, 1 unit is $4.50 divided by 3. I can do that mentally, and if I cannot, I will use the calculator because calculator is provided for problem solving. How much money did she have at first? At first, she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. So if 1 unit is $1.50, 8 units is 8 times $1.50. Can I do that mentally? 8 times $1 is $8, and 8 times 50 cents is $4. $8 and $4, that's $12. If I cannot do this mentally, I can use the calculator. So the third strategy is to teach students how to read a word problem, sentence by sentence, and to calculate as they go along, to draw a diagram as they go along, to use mental strategy, and if they cannot use a mental strategy for calculation, to use the calculator to help them during problem solving. That's the third strategy. So the 3 standard learning strategies that we suggest for the RoPe program is to use concrete materials or diagrams. Also, to use alternate strategies instead of standard algorithms. And finally, to teach students how to read word problems sentence by sentence and to calculate as they go along. Those are the 3 strategies we recommend for the learning opportunities part of the lesson.